one last motion to dismiss by the defense. Assuming we get by that, the trial will start tomorrow.
We will get by it, right?
I hope so.
There's a chance this may not even go to trial?
Look, I haven't met all of you, but as I've explained to your husband and son, this is a very uphill battle. We're prosecuting one man for murder that another man committed in a foreign country.
But the other man was his brother.
I understand, but we've only gotten so much cooperation from Pakistani authorities, and I've received no help whatsoever from our own federal government, which prefers I back off this altogether, and quite frankly, our case is weak.
So what you're saying is, you think he's going to get away with it?
I'm gonna fight for this one, you have my word. But things got a little tougher this week. The defendant switched lawyers, and his new lawyer is very...
No basis in law for these charges. A defendant can't be an accessory before the fact to a homicide that happened in a foreign country.
If there's a kidnapping with the intent to kill, we can absolutely assert jurisdiction here.
But she wasn't kidnapped. She went to Pakistan on vacation.
He tricked her. She thought she was going on vacation. He already arranged for his brother to have her killed when she arrived.
Are you serious?
I take it you've tried extraditing the brother.
To no avail.
Approach. This seems a bit much. Why are you doing this?
Your Honor, look out there. That's her family. How can I not do it?
I can't say I'm overwhelmed by the merits. But there's enough to go forward.
There's nothing to go forward.
Defendant's motion to dismiss denied. Bring in the jury.
Examined a body that had arrived from Pakistan.
Did you make an identification of this body?
Yes, through dental records, I established that the body belonged to Julie McGrath.
Is this how Julie McGrath's body arrived from Pakistan?
That's correct.
What did your examination reveal?
There was carbon monoxide in her blood and soot in her lungs. Also, tests revealed gasoline residue all over her tissue.
Please, doctor, in layman's terms.
She was soaked with gasoline, set on fire, and then burned to death.
She was burned alive?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Mr. Donald?
No questions, Your Honor.
Miss Gamble?
Commonwealth calls Detective Michael McGuire.
We received cooperation from the Lahore Police Department in Pakistan, and they provided us with the details of their investigation.
Detective, what did the Pakistani investigation reveal?
That it was a homicide committed by Javed Sharif, brother of the defendant.
Was he arrested?
Yes, he was.
Did he make any statements?
He did. He confessed to the killing, said it was done to protect his brother's honor.
How did setting Julie McGrath on fire protect the defendant's honor?
Ms. McGrath had evidently engaged in an extramarital affair. Adultery is considered a serious breach of a man's honor in Pakistan. In his confession, Mr. Sharif said he set Miss McGrath on fire to avenge his brother's disgrace. It was an honor killing.
What do you mean, honor killing?
In Pakistan, there's an ancient tribal custom. A man's honor is linked to his possessions: gold, land, women.
Detective, was Javed Sharif ever prosecuted for this murder?
No, he was not.
Why is that?
According to the Pakistani government, the defendant invoked qisas.
What does that mean?
Qisas is evidently an Islamic doctrine, which is actually law in Pakistan. It allows the heirs of a murder victim to pardon the murderer. Mr. Sharif here is the heir, and in fact, pardoned his brother.
So, the defendant pardoned the man who set his wife on fire?
That's correct.
Thank you, Detective.
Under Pakistani law, Detective, what would have happened to my client's brother had he not been pardoned?
he would have faced death by hanging.
So the only way for my client to spare the life of his brother would be to pardon him altogether.
Yes.
And Detective, is there any evidence of my client directing his brother to commit this crime?
Not to my knowledge.
Is there any evidence that my client knew this crime was going to happen?
Not to my knowledge.
Thank you.
Seen each other for about 3 months.
Then what happened?
She broke it off. She wanted to work things out with her husband.
This man.
Yes, that's her husband.
Did you ever have any encounters with this man?
Yes, when he learned of the affair, he basically accosted me.
How did he accost you, sir?
I was leaving work. He approached me in the parking lot and threatened me.
Could you describe the threat?
It's pretty vague. He just said, "Stay away from my wife," in what I perceived to be a threatening tone.
Did he say anything else?
Yes. He said in his country, people were killed for committing adultery.
I take it when he said this, he was very upset.
Yes,
He had just found out that you've been sleeping with his wife for 3 months.
that's correct.
This was an angry husband blowing off steam, wasn't it, Mr. Miller?
Well,
Did you report him to the police?
no.
So you didn't perceive that remark to be a threat on either your life or the life of Julie McGrath, did you?
Not at the time, no.
I was always close with my sister. We were only a year apart. We were, in many ways, best friends as well as siblings.
Did your sister confide in you that she was committing adultery?
Yes, it was I who convinced her to be honest and tell Ahmad. I certainly regret doing that today.
Why is that, sir?
Because he had her killed.
Objection.
Sustained.
Mr. McGrath, did your sister ever talk about her trip to Pakistan?
Yes, she did.
Could you tell us
Objection, hearsay.
state of mind?
I'll allow it.
Could you tell us what she said?
That it was Ahmad's idea, as a way of reconnecting. He thought it would be good to go back home, which she thought was a little bizarre.
Why is that?
Well, he'd always told her, and me too for that matter, that he didn't enjoy going home. He wasn't particularly close to his family. Then suddenly she's going there without him.
Without him?
Out of nowhere, he has this project he needs to finish. So he sends her over and says he'll join her in a few days. She never suspected he was sending her to be executed.
Objection.
Sustained.
While he stayed here as an alibi.
Objection.
Sustained. Miss Gamble, control your witness.
Mr. McGrath, after you learned of your sister's death, what happened?
Nothing happened. The brother confessed, said it was an honor killing, and then nothing happened. Because that son of a bitch...
Objection.
He made sure of it.
Most
Mr.
us right.
McGrath.
He didn't even go over there.
I will have you removed, sir.
Mr. McGrath, please, you need to calm down.
He didn't even go over there. My sister was burned alive. Nobody did anything. That's the answer to your question, Miss Gamble. The Pakistani police did nothing. Our government refuses to get involved. And nobody did anything. A beautiful woman was murdered. And nobody did anything.
I was as horrified as everybody else.
You didn't know what he planned to do.
Set my wife on fire? Of course not.
How did he find out about your wife's affair?
I told him. I was very hurt about it, so I shared my...
What was his reaction?
He was angry, but he certainly gave me no indication that he planned to take her life.
These honor killings, are they sanctioned by Islamic law?
No, nor are they by Pakistani law. It's simply a custom, an ancient one which is hardly ever practiced.
The question becomes your brother. Did you know that he believed in honor killings?
No. It was nothing we ever talked about. He's an educated man.
He burned your wife.
Yes.
And you pardoned him.
Because he's my brother. I know his heart, and if I didn't, he would have been hanged. As much as I hate him for what he did, as much as I will never be able to forgive him. I couldn't sign his death warrant.
Your brother decides to redeem you by burning your spouse alive. He doesn't check with you first to say, hey, do you mind?
He knew I would have stopped him.
Did he know you'd pardon him?
No.
He commits murder in front of a lot of witnesses with no assurance that you'd...
That's right.
Where is he now, Mr. Sharif?
He's in Pakistan.
So he'll burn a woman to preserve your honor, but he can't get on a plane and come testify on your behalf?
If he came to this country, he'd be jailed for life.
So he's letting you take the fall. He kills the wife, you take the rap. Getting convicted of murder, that's not a dishonor to you? In your country, it's not a disgrace to be a convicted murderer?
Objection.
Overruled.
How about simply committing murder? Any dishonor in that? Your brother's even a hero over there, isn't he?
Objection. What's the relevance?
The relevance is this is win-win. One brother gets rid of a wife while the other one gets to enjoy a hero status.
Objection. Move to
Consider my
strike.
brother a hero.
The objection is sustained.
Mr. Sharif, is it your testimony that knowing Pakistani culture, it wasn't at all foreseeable that your brother might attempt to kill your wife?
Murder is not part of Pakistani culture, Miss Gamble.
Wait a second. We're here today because a man's honor has been placed above a woman's life.
It's an ancient custom. It doesn't reflect today's practice.
Mr. Sharif, are little girls used to settle disputes in Pakistan?
Again, you're talking about an archaic custom.
Practiced by the same people that commit these honor killings.
Objection. This is so far off track.
Sustained. Keep it about the case, Miss Gamble.
This is about the case, Your Honor. He knew where he was sending his wife, and he knew what would happen to her.
Objection.
Sustained.
Mr. Sharif, did you call your brother from the airport the day your wife flew out?
Yes, but I was...
And you called him again the same day your wife was set on fire, didn't you?
With respect to my trip.
With respect to your trip. I have nothing further.
My client knew it was going to happen. The prosecution's entire case is, gee, they were brothers. He must have known. That's it. Ahmad Sharif is on trial here only out of frustration. They can't get the real killer. A sympathetic family sits over there wanting justice. A frustrated district attorney wants somebody to pay, so it's let's nail the brother. You know, usually I find myself standing up here asking juries to analyze the evidence. Find not guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Here, there is no evidence. None.
You want evidence? A wife cheats on her husband. Suddenly, he plans a trip to Pakistan. He sends her off alone. His brother kills her while he sits comfortably in the United States with an alibi. Then, pursuant to Pakistani law, he grants a pardon. And his brother completely gets away with it. Yes. It's a little frustrating. The murderer falls back on Pakistani law where this tribal Kesis thing can get him off, while the conspiring husband relies on American courts and takes advantage of our higher burdens of proof. This man comes from a society that treats women as commodities, a nation that burns bad wives.
In America, we don't do that. We don't condone honor killings. We don't consider any murder to be honorable. You all know what he did. Come back with a verdict, which reminds him what country he is in now.
Mr. Sharif, please rise. Has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
What say you?
Commonwealth versus Ahmad Sharif. Count 1 on the charge of accessory before the fact to murder. We find the defendant, Ahmad Sharif, guilty. Count 2 on the charge of conspiracy to commit murder. We find the defendant, Ahmad Sharif, guilty.
Ask that the court enter findings of not guilty on both counts, notwithstanding the verdict.
Denied. Security, take the defendant into custody. We'll schedule sentencing later. Members of the jury, thank you for your service. We are adjourned.